You're such an asshole.
That's kind of an interesting question, and I can't answer it for everyone. And of course, everybody's different, and Russia might be better, and the United States might be better. But this is a tough one, so let's go through his request. Hello, Mr. Clary. First, I prefer to stay anonymous. Thanks. I have recently come to a satisfactory conclusion of reconnoitering the United States and decided on northern Idaho, either near Sandpoint or Bonners Ferry. I'm a prepper who has a family, so if I'm to stay in the U.S., it would be there. As a white person, my global reconnaissance was mostly focused on Eastern Europe and Russia. I've ultimately decided on Russia. No kidding, like not Hungary, not Poland, not Croatia, Russia. Since although Eastern Europe is great, they're slowly getting swallowed by the West, NATO, EU, etc. I don't think they have the power to stand up to it. My question is, what do you think would be better long term, staying in the U.S. or getting the F out? The biggest advantage I see in the U.S. is it, for now, has the best gun laws over any country by a mile, as well as armed citizens. So if the government got tyrannical, we'd have a citizen militia. Uh, okay, you need that in place beforehand. It's not like, oh, they took over now. No, that. So you'd have to find that. Also, I'm familiar with the U.S., speak the language, know its culture, and know where to live. With Russia, the biggest advantage is taxes being a flat 13%, non-woke culture, but would come at the cost of moving, assimilating me and my family there, as well as learning what specific region to live in. Thank you. I would say Siberia. I'm not joking about that, because I've kicked that around, and the cold would be too much for me. I don't want to live inside. But if I had to be anywhere, I'd be like, man, I want to be left the F alone. I mean, it's just Alaska, in case you were wondering. Maybe the southern part of Siberia, so it's slightly less cold. But that's where I would go. So, all right, let's talk about the United States and Russia. They're not good. It's basically, do you want corrupt or do you want insane? Which of the two lesser evils do you want? Because whereas Russia does not have this woke Nazi mental illness, and that really is what it is to describe it. I mean, okay, you could say communism is part of it, but I think it goes beyond communism. This mental illness where everybody is just so obsessed with the traits either that they have or they made out of whole cloth and out of thin air. And if you don't worship people's traits, and everyone is offended, and what it is everyone's trying to be a victim so they don't have to work. And that's just insane. And now we get where, the problem with that ultimately victim philosophy is you don't get off your ass and work and make anything of yourself. And it shows in the American people. The American people are fat, disgusting, stupid, lazy slobs. Very few are worth befriending or investing in. And certainly, as you're aware, now you got a family, so you do have a wife, so that's good. But like, I don't know how you can invest, how young people can invest in each other when you're not physically attractive. I know that's very shallow and cursory, but that's kind of step one to any kind of relationship forming. You need to be physically attracted to each other. But then on top of not being physically attractive, you just got people like, oh my God, if you're not Marxist, environmentalist, whatever their cult-like religion is, like, oh, you hate Jews and want to kill everyone. So it's insanity. That being said, and this is a stretch, the fact you could say that stuff, the fact that you could, go ahead, be gay. No, we're not going to stop you. You could claim, gay people are kind of like, man, what the hell is going on? And like, I don't know. I really don't know. But you can claim to be a kitten if you want. Okay, fine. Be a furry. It is truly land of the free. I don't know so much the brave anymore. And then also, I know this is a little bit academic or procedural. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a little by the numbers, but the United States is the least corrupt large economic entity in the world. There are other countries that are less corrupt, but not with this economic opportunity. The U.S. is still the number one economy. We do have, for now, we got property rights. free capital flows. The government is for the freedom of speech, but the people aren't. They want to get you fired, and neither are corporations or employers. So that's kind of going away. But it's still relatively uncorrupt here compared to pretty much the rest of the world. And you can more or less, especially if you go, your state and local governments, if you choose that correctly, you'll have about as fair as a judicial system as you can hope for. You absolutely would not go to California. You absolutely would not go to Chicago, not Minneapolis, not New York. And you're going to a predominantly red state and a red town, and you can assume the sheriff is going to protect your rights. And so, whereas you may not like where the country's going nationally, there are places within the United States that you could kind of escape the insanity if you so desire. But anyway, the point is, the United States is not as corrupt, and the hottest chick at a party of fat chicks, the last horse in the glue factory, our fundamentals aren't great, but it's better than most other places when it comes to economic opportunity. Overall taxes, it's not the best. So we got that there, but we just don't have our sanity. But you don't have to hang out with those people. You don't. You can go to red states. There's not a lot of purple-haired people over in South Dakota. There just isn't that case. Not a lot of attractive women either. I'll just tell you that now, in case you were wondering. Then you go over to Russia, and whereas Russia, okay, they're sane. They are, I guess, mature in the sense that they, in recent memory, got rid of communism. They're not. No, you're not. You can't identify as a cat. It's like, and I don't know what their gay rights or not straight rights are like, but I don't believe, I could be wrong, but I don't believe they're hunting them down. But they're certainly not going to play this. Oh, are you a Hispanic female? Oh my God, let's worship. They don't reward traits. It's usually that you're rewarded for work. However, it's also horrendously corrupt. If you look at the corruptions perceptions index, and that's like business and government. I don't know how thorough, effective, and fair the enforcement and judicial branches of the legal systems, the courts over there are. You being an American, you might be discriminated. Well, I mean, you will be discriminated against on some level. Just as if you move down south, you'll be discriminated against because you're a northerner or you have an accent. But it's not like you just go and you might have to bribe officials to purchase a home. You might be an easy mark. It's just very corrupt over there in Russia. And I know a lot of people, whatever your opinion on Russia, Ukraine, and Vladimir Putin and all that is, I think Putin is, he's well, the war has questioned that. I would say in terms of managing the country's finances, and maybe merely only that, I would say Putin was probably one of the more competent people in that regard. At least he put people in there. But man, that's also a corrupt organization. It's not a democracy. It is a dictatorship, might be to it, but it's corrupt. It's like, hey, Pootie, when you leaving? It's like you and the adult trust fund baby kid up in Canada. Like, you've been in power long enough. Maybe you go away now. And he won't. And so that indicates to me corruption all the way to the top. It's not going to be fair. It's not going to be meritocratic in a different way. So it almost seems to me that you got home field advantage here in the United States, because you are right. You do speak the language. You are familiar with the culture. You don't have to send your kids to the public schools. You don't have, you can homeschool them. They maybe in the future might want to move to a different place. I know you are like, well, I think Russia is the place to go. I would at least wait until the war is over. That's what I would do. Just wait until that kind of fizzles out and see what happens, because you don't know who's going to come in. There might be a coup. And okay, is Vladimir Putin the best? No, not by a long shot, but he could be replaced with something a lot worse. And I would definitely wait until that situation resolves itself. So I would definitely go up whatever northern Idaho, prep, get your guns, have your garden, do whatever you want, drill a well. I think in the short and medium term that is better. And then I presume you're doing this for your children. Maybe then have, teach them Russian if you'd like, have them become fluent in other languages if you'd like. And then I would do a little bit more research, or maybe your heart is sold on Russia. All right. But I wait for it not to be at war, regardless of whatever the corruption perception index says and all that. And I would also travel there and make sure you like it. That's a huge thing. And bring your kids too. Like, hey, do you kids like this? Oh, look, a grizzly bear. It ate a villager. Oh, look, the roads are, you could see forms of corruption. There's this trans-Russian road highway. It's in disrepair. I really want to ride my motorcycle across. I thought it'd be kind of fun to ride across Russia. And it's like, oh no, it's not going to happen. It's just the road is in disrepair. So I would hold off. If you need to make a decision sooner than later, I would probably go find a place in a red state in the United States, train your kids, raise them here, educate them in a very good remotely employable field so that they are equipped to leave the United States. Because I presume that's what you're doing this for, is primarily for your children. Equip them here, teach them a transportable remote skill. Maybe you guys visit Russia, nothing, when it's safe, check it out, see what happens. It's the political situation where there's just too volatile. I'd hold off. And then I know you're worried about the United States taking over Eastern Europe and all that, or at least influencing them. I don't know. There's Bulgaria, Poland, right? I mean, and you probably have visited it. So I don't know. Russia just like, I don't know if you couldn't get what you're aiming for, in a less corrupt economy, a less corrupt political government, and one where you might be able to find employment. But yeah, that's what I would do for now. I know. Look, the United States has its problems, but I would say right now, with war going on in Russia and the corruption that is prevalent throughout that economy, I would and go visit, absolutely go visit, but hold off and maybe train your kids so that they can look. Your kids may not want to. One kid, I don't know how many kids you got. One kid may love Russia. Like, I want to go. They're like, okay, let's go. You make your money, you buy whatever your currency, and you go retire over there. And the other kid, I hate Russia. And he wants to go to, I don't know, Estonia, and goes to the Baltics. And you fly and visit each other, and you all speak Russian or whatever they speak over in Estonia. Probably Estonian, I don't know. And that's it. But yeah, I'd hold off. All right, any super chats? We got one super chat. James, $20. Do you think Jay Powell will be able to maintain normal interest rates where savers will actually get some yield? Will rates drop back to zero like Slim Pickens at the end of Doctor Strangelove? Okay, one, I barely watch Doctor Strangelove. Two, I don't pay attention to economics or politics anymore. Do you think Jay Powell will be able to maintain normal interest rates where savers will actually get some yield? Well, he can affect central bank rates, which do affect and translate into savings rates. But also never forget, I don't know if people remember the private sector and the free market, but if there's a glut of savings, there's supply and demand of savings as well. The supply and demand of money, which has been overshadowed by how much money we've printed off the reserve requirement ratio. I'm aware of that, but the two can diverge, because if people just don't want to invest, like if there's a recession and people are just saving their money, there's a glut of money in the banking system with no borrowers. So your interest rates are going to be low, regardless of what the central bank might do. And generally speaking, if you're saying, well, if we use the federal funds rate as the baseline, and then plus or LIBOR or the other going quoted interest rates that the banks use to ultimately then determine savings rates. They could increase interest. Well, okay, it depends on which dragon they're going to slay. Will they be able to maintain normal interest rates where savers actually get some yield? Yeah, if they're fighting inflation goes up and everything is based off of that and tight supply and all that and just carries through. Yes, that's a nominal interest rate, but I don't think it'll be more than inflation. I mean, right now, I don't know what the federal funds rate is, but it isn't more than inflation. So, I guess I hate to be slimy, but define normal where savers will actually get some yield. Well, right now they're not getting yield. You're still losing a little bit of money against inflation. And keep in mind the interest rates that determine any new issuance of government bonds can't go up too much either. So, but I'm not an expert on the on central banking and U.S. finances on the Treasury and Federal Reserve side. Or will rates drop back to zero like Slim Pickens at the end of them? Rates could drop back to zero. I mean, they could if get a good recession. No one wants to borrow it. Sub Knowlton, $2. Hey, by the way, James, thanks for the 20 generous dollars. Hope I kind of answered it. Sub Knowlton, $2. What did you think of Daniel Craig as Bond? I think he is an outstanding actor who's given really crappy roles as Bond. My favorite one was oh shit, do I have to go? I gotta go. Real quick. The first one, the Casino Royale, very good. The rest of them I fell asleep in. Atham and Chad ghosted you because you're not on their level. No, it didn't happen, DJ. All right, I gotta go. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.